Hey, what's going on, guys? Effortless Roller here again. And today's a little bit warmer. It's about 20 degrees right now here in Minnesota. Yesterday I talked a little bit about my cross. Okay, guys, these right here are my crosses. And these are birds that's been flown for over 2 years. They are proven. They are good as far as the roll goes. These up here, the four top are the cocks, the hens. I still got more, but I only got 8 show pins. But yeah, guys, these are my Courtney cross with Rick Nee. Now, I get the question a lot, why did I do the cross? Why? Well, you guys, both families are good by themselves. Okay? Rick did a hell of a job with his birds. Danny did a hell of a job with his birds. Do they need to be crossed? No. Okay? The answer is no. Do they need to be crossed? If you select through each family, you can find the traits that you need to improve the family and to move the family forward. But that takes a while. I did the cross mainly because, I decided 2020 was not a year for me to fly birds. I was expecting a baby and halfway through my season, so I won't be able to fly the next 2 months. Of course, I am Hmong, so my culture, I have to take care of my wife and my child for the first month, and so I didn't have that time to fly birds. So I did the cross because of that, as an experiment. Like I said, this cross turned out really good. And the reason why I did the cross was because the two families fly similar. Okay. Feed wise, they're fed different. In my experience with the Rick Nee birds, their chemistries are one of the best. Now let's talk a little bit about the Rick Nee family. The side that I have, or had, I still got some, but I've loaned them out to a friend, and I've given some back to Irwin. But the side of the Rick Nee that I had is what I consider the old school. Now, if you talk to a few guys, the old school could be before the Westfall blood, that was, I guess, introduced later. But to others, it's the 047 hen, which is a Higgin hen. I believe a Higgin she's a 50-50 from the information that I've got. So it all depends. Well, goes back to the Rick Nee that I got. They do not have the 047, which is the Higgin stuff. At least to my records, they don't go back to the 047. So I took those birds, which is really the old school Rick Nee, and what I did was I put them onto my Danny Courtney birds. Now, these Danny Courtney birds are also the pure ones without any crosses or any blood introduced into them. So I took 2 old families and I put them together. Do they need to be crossed? No. Are they different in flying? Yes, they are. I went with this to, I guess, create my own family and to just experiment with it and see if I would like it. These are the first generation of the cross, and from my experience, anything blue bar from this family was a roll down. Blue checks, I get blue checks. The blue checks are stable. But my recessive reds are very high velocity. Okay, this guy right here can almost blur out. Now, I don't really use the term blur out much because I think a lot of people tend to overuse it. So you don't hear me talk about a bird blurring out much at all. And when I say blur out, that means that it's very high velocity. This hen right here is also very high velocity. you know. And I'm doing a lot different. My selection and breeding is not just based off on performance, but I like birds that can go 30, 40 feet, you know. And I believe competition, you need depth. But you know, high velocity birds don't drop much. Like this bird, for example. You know, if you don't clock him, you'll probably think he's just a 20-footer. You clock him and he's passing that 30 foot. I mean, 3 seconds. So, you know, he doesn't drop right away. But, you know, you get to this guy right here, and he's definitely on my deep side. This is a bird that can go 50, 60. And he's got good control. The thing about the Rickney birds is they have really good control. You know, they're very short family from what I've experienced with. You do get a few 30-footers in there, but majority, I would say, you know, 15, 20 feet. Okay, again, speaking from my experience. And you know, my Courtney birds were a lot deeper. So, you know, flying the Rickney, when you fly in a deep family, you go to short family, you kind of don't have that, I guess, excitement to see short rollers. Again, this is just my opinion, guys. Nothing to bash on the Rickney birds or anything, but to me, the Rickney birds had really great chemistry. Okay, and in my opinion, better chemistry than the Courtney birds. Okay, so this is also why I did this experiment, was because, well, imagine a kit that can kit like the Rickneys and break like the Rickneys and have the depth of like the Courtney birds and the frequency, you know. And that's where I went with it. And so when I selected birds back, I needed birds that could at least go 2 to 3 times a minute and commit to the roll, and you know, basically have the style. Okay, I'm a style guy. Okay, I don't really care for colors, although I do get some pretty colors out of my birds. I'm not really a color guy, you know. I like performance, and I'm very selective in style. You know, I don't like X-wingers. I don't like A-frames. It's just me. Again, I like a smooth bird that can make the roll look like it's just floating in the sky, you know, like a ballerina, you know, like just effortless. That's why the loft is called Effortless Rollers, you know. So that's what I look for. I keep it simple. I don't try to go too much into detail about it, because it's not about style or velocity or nothing. I'm just talking about this family and why I did the cross. But the Courtney birds, now the Courtney birds, they can get really frequent. If you start flying them every day, you're gonna get sick birds. You're gonna get very thin birds. They will roll themselves sick. Okay, you'll fly the kit 3 days in a row, and you're gonna have birds landing in a tree. You're gonna have birds bumping. You're gonna wonder why or what's going on. You're gonna be like, oh, this family can't handle the roll. But in reality, they work so hard that the food they eat cannot keep up with them. So that's why when you hear Marco talk about the Courtney, he talks about, hey, you work with this family, you got to feed them up. You know, you can't break them down. You break them down, you're going to get roll downs and bumpers. Well, that is 100% true from my experience as well. You know, so, I mean, with the Rickney birds, you could fly them 7 days. I mean, you could fly them every day, and they would be consistent. That's the one thing I like about the Rickney is, you know, if you get them on in a program and you get them going, they can be very consistent. So, all right, guys, that's why I did the cross, and these are just showing you a few of them. There's not all of them, but these are the ones that are going to be moving forward. Now, my program of moving them forward, I wrote it down here. Okay, I keep it very simple. Okay, the base family. Okay, the first generation is what I just showed you guys, is what I call the 50-50, which is a base, you know, like a pure on pure. Okay, what I want to do, and I talked about this, you know, I gave Irwin the 3/4. So I did take these birds and I breed them back into the pure Rickney side, to the 3/4, and I flew them out. They were really good. And usually a lot of times, guys, when you get to this phase and you get 3/4 birds, they're gonna fly really good. Okay, really good. A lot of people stop here. Okay, and this 3/4, you know, they're, in my experience, they started flying more stiff, kind of like the Rickney birds. They weren't as frequent anymore, but they still had depth. Okay, and that kind of turned off for me. Okay, so I decided, you know what, I didn't want to keep two family anyways. I didn't want the Rickneys and I didn't want the Courtneys. And I already decided when I got back into rollers in 2017 that I was gonna go with the Courtney. So I gave back all the Rickney birds to Irwin, and I gave him all the 3/4. Okay, so this year I'm gonna breed them, these 50-50 birds, back into the Courtney side. So I have 3/4 Courtney birds. Okay, they're gonna have a hint of Rickney in them, and I'm gonna go 5 generations. Okay, 5 generations, and that's a long time, guys. I mean, think about it. You breed the birds, you have to fly them for 2 years before you select them, put it back. I used to follow that. Now I'm kind of more lenient towards, you know what, if a young bird shows potential and it can hold its performance through stress, or my stress test, it's good enough to go. Okay, it's good enough for me to try it. And you know, it cuts down on time, and you know what, if it's producing the stuff I need, I'm willing to take the chance on it. Okay, I've lost a lot of really good birds that I can't replace to hawks. So guys, this is the way I'm doing it, and I'm bringing it back to the Courtney side. You know, so every generation I'm gonna bring it back to the Courtney side to break it down. I've talked to a few guys, you know, and a lot of time when you get to this 5th generation is when you start selecting the best and putting it with the best. I've tried putting crosses on crosses. It does not work. Okay, and what I mean crosses on crosses is you're taking a 50-50 bird and putting back on a 50. So if I decide to take this cockbird and put this on this yellow hen, or this cockbird onto that that lavender hen, I'm gonna run into a whole bunch of problems. The birds, their gene pool is so big, so they're gonna throw me so many random birds that they're not. Even though he's the main father to all these 4 hens, he's gonna produce me birds that fly all over this guy, because you know what? I just opened up the gene pool when I crossed. Okay, so now I have to do all the hard work again, all the selecting, all of that. I have to do that all over again. This is why I hate crossing birds, guys. And this is why I mentioned before that I almost got rid of this kit. If not for my wife, I would probably have just flown these birds until the hawks take them, or they will, until they get replaced, they will be called, you know, because I wouldn't have bred them any further than this. But because she decides she likes them, you know what, that opens up another door for me to work with them. So if I'm going to work with them, I might as well finish it off. So these guys will be the future of, I call these birds the Havic Crew. Okay, so these are my Havic Crew birds, and the reason why they got their name was the first year they flew. These birds, you get them up to 300 feet and they can start breaking. I mean, these Rickney birds are a setup family, is what I consider them. They slow down, they pause in the skies, and bam, the kit just hits a wall. Okay, and you see that in High End Biker's video as well. His birds, I consider them as a setup family, and to me, I believe the setup family is one of the biggest, you know, kits that can basically go together, you know, sync up. So I really aim for that, and that's what I'm looking for when I created this family. So hopefully I can carry that with the frequency of the Courtneys and the depth and the speed of the Courtneys. I'm hoping to just put that all together, but who knows, guys, I might hit a dead end. Okay, but I will keep you guys updated for my followers and everybody. But it's going to be a long process before you start seeing me select them from the air and putting them back. But yeah, my video is cutting short. And this is just a little continuation Remember to subscribe, follow, and I will continue to make more videos of my journey here. Thank you guys.